Of all the external parasites, ticks cause the greatest economic losses in livestock production in Kenya today. Thousands of cattle are lost through tick-borne diseases such as East Coast fever, red water, anaplasmosis, and heartwater. Cows become weak and production of milk is low.
Controlling ticks in our animals is normally they rules the conditions if it is heavy infestation, and they can even cause anemia, falling the degree of anemia.
Most commonly, the ticks are found in the ears, under the tail, and on the udder, though they can be seen on other parts of the body also. Even the ticks that attach at open parts of the body, such as the belly and the back, are somehow hidden by the hair coat of the animal. There are 3 methods to control these harmful parasites. Hand pump spraying is a method suitable to farmers with few cattle, and it is also used on sick animals that can't walk to the dip. Spray race is a second method, a very effective method, but many farmers cannot afford the motor that pumps the water through the race.
The advantages of using a spray race are many. Number one is that the spray race is suitable for heavy animals, that is in-calf animals that are delicate. Number 2 is that the spray race is safe for all kinds of animals. There is no danger that can happen or can occur to your animals if you can use a spray race.
The third and most common method is dipping. It is easier and simpler for the farmer to follow, though it has some challenges regarding its efficiency.
Dipping is the best, but if you don't come from near the dip, you have no option, you will go for hand spraying. The advantage of the dip is that it is very effective. There's no part which will remain, which will not, their guys that cannot penetrate. And again, animals are not going through their site.
Tick control and dip management. In many parts of the country, water is a big problem. Thus, when constructing a dip, there must be adequate supply of water. To avoid dip wash being diluted with rainwater, the dip should have a firm and good roof with long overhangings. Any good dip must have sediment sump. This is where the water dripping from dipped animals drains back into the dip. After dipping, it is closed so that rainwater can't get into the dip to reduce the strength of the dip wash. Dirt and mud from the footbaths also reduces the strength of dip wash. Ensure you water the animals before taking them to the dip. This will reduce the possibility of cattle drinking dip wash when they are thirsty. If possible, adult cattle should be dipped separately from calves, and heavily pregnant cows are dipped individually and separately from other adults. This prevents adults from landing on calves when jumping into the dip. When dipping, start with the first 20 cattle. These first animals are used for mixing the dip wash. Then, make sure all the cows go through the dip. Water in the footbath must be clean before dipping starts. It should be changed during dipping if it becomes very dirty. The dip attendant must keep the record of farmers who dip their animals and the records of dip analysis from veterinary department. After every dipping, the attendant must make sure that he washes the footbath and the draining race. After getting the dip analysis from veterinary department, the dip attendant will know how much more chemical he or she should add into the dip, or if the dip strength is very high, he'll be required to add more water. Maintenance of the dip is not the work of the dip attendant only, but all farmers must work together to see that the dip remains clean all the time.
Sisi kama wanakamati tunasimamia ng'ombe saa ile narukia, tunasimamia management na kununua dawa. Baada kununua dawa sasa tunafanya maintenance. Kila ng'ombe nalipwa shilingi 30. Kila Jumamosi tunasafisha kila Jumamosi ng'ombe zaidi ya 300.
Tick control by spraying. As we said earlier, ticks always look for the most hidden areas of the animal's body, such as under the tail, in the ears, and under the armpits. Effective control requires adequate spray pressure. Therefore, a special pump, that is a bucket pump, should be used for animal spraying. The crush is very important. It is not merely existence of a crush, but a functional crush. It should restrain the animal well to ensure that the acaricide reaches the desired part of the animal. Without the crush, the animal is not properly confined, resulting in commotion. Some farmers usually resort to tying the animal onto a tree. The scared animal causes disturbance so that the spray does not reach ticks at their hiding places. You may even get injured in the process. For adequate confinement, the lower part of the crush should be narrow. Both ends of the crush should be blockable, otherwise the animal can take off. A concrete floor ensures avoidance of mud, which predisposes cattle to foot rot. The other equipment required are a bucket to contain spray wash, protective clothing and mask, a crush, a acaricide, water, and a measurement cylinder. Plan well for the spraying. The frequency should be once every week. However, if the farm is receiving dairy animals for the first time, spraying should be done twice a week during the initial 1 month. Select an appropriate day of the week, preferably a day when you're able to supervise the work if you cannot spray personally. On the day of spraying, bring all the equipment required in one place. Then, prepare the acaricide mixture. Next, drive the animal into the crush, close the rails well, and do the spraying. Now, how is mixing done? First, read manufacturer's instructions that indicate ratio required for mixing water and the acaricide. This instruction appears on the label of the acaricide container. Then, using the measurement cylinder, obtain the required amount of acaricide and empty this into the bucket. To this, add some water. Mix thoroughly to produce an evenly distributed solution which easily mixes with a final large volume of water. Next, pour in water to the required amount. Using the pump, do a thorough mixing by circulating for a few runs from the pump back to the bucket. Now your mixture is ready for use.
And acaricide, you have to mix it thoroughly. Proper mixing of the acaricide and reading the label is very important for the farmer, because this is poison. And also avoid poisoning by proper disposal of the deep cans, the empties, proper disposal. Also avoid contaminations of pasture, because we don't want our milk to have the drug residues.
Spraying technique. Rigid steps should be followed to ensure all parts are sprayed without wasting the acaricide mixture.
With the hand spraying, we have disadvantages of most animals losing their sight. So we advise the farmers not to stand sideways, as this you are going to hit the eyes and the animals will lose the sight. And if the animal loses sight, it will lose value. A very big and very expensive animal, you end up selling very little money. And that is the loss to the farmer.
Starting at any random site would lead to using more chemical than is necessary. The nozzle should neither be too far nor too close to the skin surface. The appropriate distance is 1 foot from the animal. Start by spraying the back from the shoulders to the back of the tail. Then spray the sides and the flanks in a zigzag motion. Next, spray the belly with the nozzle facing upwards. Then spray the udder and the scrotum. Spray both hind legs, including the heels. Then lift the tail and spray underneath it in between the legs. Next, hold the tail along the animal's back and spray the tail. Then spray the neck, shoulders and front legs, including the heels. Then spray the head, being careful to wet the base of the horns. Finally, spray inside the ears. The way this is done is first holding, without spraying, the nozzle close to the ear, then applying a sudden spray jet into the ear. Always ensure adequate pressure thrust, as we said earlier. Weak pressure will not make the acaricide penetrate the hair. Weak pressure also scatters the acaricide so that not all surfaces are covered. Ticks on the uncovered surfaces survive, and your spraying is a failure. If you ignore any of the spraying procedure, the whole work is a failure, and you'll have struggled for nothing. Remember, 99% spraying is the same as 0% spraying. Hand spraying is appropriate for farms with herds of up to 10 cattle. For larger herds, other methods such as dipping, electrical spray race, or tractor-operated spray race are recommended.
Badilisha dawa kwa kila wakati, kwa sababu ukitumia dawa moja watasoeana na kupe. Sasa huwa tunabadilisha dawa yetu kila mara. Tukitumia dawa type ingine, wiki ingine tunatumia type ingine, na tunaadvaisiwa according vile tunachanganya dawa na kiwango ya ng'ombe inafaa kuchukua ngapi. Hiyo ndio tumeweza ku maintain health.
If all these practices are followed very carefully, farmers will get healthy animals that will give them more milk and money, which will improve their standard of living.
When the animal is kept comfortable, the amount of milk also increases. So we also advise the farmers, it is good that you protect what you love.
Let us control mastitis. Mastitis is the inflammation of the mammary gland and other tissue and is a major disease of dairy cattle. It is caused by a variety of bacterial sources present on the farm and can also occur as a result of injury to the cow's udder. Mastitis is of economic importance since it causes loss of milk and death of animals. The most common causes of mastitis are found in the udder tissues, spreading from cow to cow, or in the herd surroundings such as bedding materials, manure, and soil. This distinction may be important when assessing the challenges present in a herd and the measures which may be taken to reduce and treat mastitis. Contagious pathogens that cause mastitis tend to live on the cow's udder and teat skin and transfer from affected cow or quarter to an affected cow or quarter during milking. They stick easily to the skin, around the teat end, and then into the teat canal where infection occurs. Environmental pathogens are present in the housing and bedding and can be transferred during milking or between milkings when the cow is loafing, eating, or lying down. Mastitis pathogens can infect cows both during the dry period and when cows are lactating, and it is important to identify and know the source of these infections, as control, prevention, and treatment of the effects differ according to whether the infection occurs when the cow is dry or in lactation. Symptoms of mastitis. The most obvious symptoms of clinical mastitis are abnormalities in the udder, such as swelling, heat, hardness, redness, or pain, and the milk, such as a watery appearance, flakes, clots, or pus. Other symptoms can also include a reduction in milk yield, an increase in body temperature, the lack of appetite, sunken eyes, signs of diarrhea and dehydration, a reduction in mobility due to the pain of a swollen udder or simply due to feeling unwell. Control of mastitis. The best way is to practice teat disinfection after milking. Keep the cow dry and beddings clean all the time. Check milk with strip cap. Use suitable milk salve with dichlorofen during milking. Early diagnosis and treatment with suitable antimicrobial agents, and allow a withdrawal period of 72 hours after local treatment. Milk-affected udder frequently. Milk-affected cows last. Cull chronic carriers or recurring cases of mastitis. Milk fever. Milk fever, hypocalcemia, occurs in dairy animals when calcium levels in the blood decreases. In most cases, cows show some excitement or agitation and a tremor in muscles of the head and limbs. A dry muzzle, staring eyes, cold legs and ears, constipation, and drowsiness are seen after going down. The heartbeat becomes weaker and faster. The body temperature falls below normal, especially in cold, wet, windy weather. These signs are due mainly to lowered blood calcium levels. Some cows get milk fever several days or even weeks before or after calving. This is due to the feed, especially calcium, not being able to meet the heavy demand to the growing fetus or milk production in early lactation. To control milk fever, cows close to calving require frequent observation so that you can detect milk fever early. At calving and afterwards, the available feed and calcium should be unrestricted. Give salt licks with calcium and phosphorus to dairy animals. There are other conditions in the farm that are not necessarily caused by disease agents but by farmers' practices. For example, acidosis.
Now, when you talk about acidosis, this is a condition when the animal takes in a very highly fermentable carbohydrate. For example, if it is a grain of maize or any other cereal, what that one does is that it reduces what you call the pH of the rumen. And as a result of that, then the rumen stops functioning. Now, if this condition is allowed to continue for a long time, it can actually affect the productivity of the animal. And one of the ways that you'll be able to see this happening is that there'll be a drop in milk production. You find that most of the animals are not chewing their cud.